Carl and Stephanie, or was, yeah,
It's
that's,
an email that it was noted.
Yeah, and I sent them the actual exact point in the recording, because I went back, I was like, oh gosh, and what did it say? And it was exactly what I thought, so we're all good. So I just wanted to clarify
They
that.
haven't made.
No, they did.
Oh.
They did. I just want to make sure, I went back and listened to the actual recording from that previous just to make sure, and it's all good, so it was, so. If anybody wants.
And we will have a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, minutes will pass. Our first item on the agenda from our
Esteemed.
esteemed leader, department update.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. As you know, we're in the holiday season and I have many events I want to share with you. You know, we've had several light ups and we have a couple more. Tomorrow, we have the menorah lighting at the Loop. Starts at 5:30. On Saturday, we have Light Up Carter Park. And that starts at 5 o'clock, go to 7. And then Sunday, our first signature part is significantly complete, which is the Tunnel Top project. So that's December 10th. We're having the ribbon cutting from 1 to 5. And then 5:30 until I think it's 7. There's a movie that'll be playing as well. So the ribbon cutting starting at 1 o'clock, and then there'll be a community festival starting at 1:30 till 5.
What time is the car? Oh, sorry.
What's involved,
But
what's involved in the festival?
We will have, well, Parks and Rec will be providing a kid zone. We'll have some bounce houses there. There'll be some music, face painting will be there. Some of the local businesses will have some vendor booths out and
It'll be holiday-ish.
very much.
what time was it? You said the Carter Park was Saturday?
Yes, Saturday, 5 to 7.
5 to 7. And you said tomorrow was the menorah?
Menorah lighting at the Loop. See here. Kwanzaa at Bass Park, December 29th from 2 to 6. Our annual Santa on the Beach is taking place December 19th. The motorcade will start at noon and make its way to the beach by about 12:30. It's great.
Who's Santa?
I'm not sure who sent it, but we do have a Santa. And then, of course, one of our large major events, the Downtown Countdown. We're on pace for that as well. That, of course, that's December 31st. We start that at 4:30 and that'll go all the way to 1 o'clock.
Is it gonna be downtown or is it gonna be?
What's the thing on the beach
downtown.
right now?
But Santa on the Beach, it's basically, we have a motorcade of vehicles, police and fire coming to escort Santa down to the beach.
No, the one on,
The Loop. There's
right
something-
now,
Something going on.
Thursday, tomorrow,
Yeah.
is the menorah lighting.
on the beach?
In the Loop.
I
It's on
think
the
In
he's
the-
talking about the Riptide.
Is that
Oh,
done in
it was a
conjunction with the?
riptide.
Yeah, over there by Music Venue.
Chair. Or is it just a little hot bottom muscle?
I believe it's the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Concert.
What time is that one tomorrow? Sorry.
Yeah, it's just.
That is 5:30.
About.
Okay.
Does the lady.
Yes.
The recorder is asking that we speak one person at a time. It's very difficult to maintain minutes, I'm guessing. With us.
Most certainly. All right, any questions about some of our holiday festivities? Okay, and then I do have a announcement. Some of you know, but I was promoted to director.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. You know, Phil, Mr. Thornburg, he resigned. Effective, I think it was the 2nd of this month, but there was a month transition period in which I started in the role. And so I'm looking forward to doing the best I can in this role, and I've enjoyed every moment I've had with the city in my 10+ years here and looking forward to doing at least another 10 in this capacity. So thank
very
you all for
excited
your
for you.
support. I appreciate it.
Still gonna hang out with us, Carl?
Thank you.
You still gonna hang out with us or are you gonna?
Yeah, so at least in the short term, I have quite a few vacancies in our department to fill. And as you can see, there's no Stephanie.
Right.
Yeah.
So that along with the new deputy, we're working on those now. And some of you may or may not know, but we've had a few division managers retire. We filled both of them, but we're losing quite a bit of knowledge because both of those individuals were in this department for over 23 years. So
What's Enrique doing?
he's here, yeah, he's still handling things on the park side.
Okay.
But I do need to fill the recreation side. I'm kind of running around with a chicken heads on. So that's.
Did you talk, I'm sorry, it was late. Did you talk about the tunnel top opening?
Yes, December 10th, this Sunday,
Mhm.
1 o'clock till 5:30.
Do we have any idea when that big sculpture is coming?
Actually, yes, I believe it arrives
What
in
sculpture?
2 weeks. So there's a
In 2
art
weeks?
sculpture that is,
Wait, the big stainless steel conch shell?
yeah, that's coming real soon. I saw an email this afternoon about it. I'm pretty sure it's within the next
Okay,
Somebody donated, Rochelle,
$5 million endowment.
Barney Barnett was responsible for making that happen.
And where's the sculpture gonna be?
tunnel top.
Yeah, it's gonna go on the tunnel top also.
Oh, I heard this.
And then there's also
Oh,
one piece
but
of
when on the
a
tunnel
couple.
top?
Because I believe there's gonna be some placements along the riverwalk as well. But,
Something else?
in the same kind of realm of
Okay.
what Fort Lauderdale is, Venice of America kind of. So it'll be something, I don't know what that artwork is yet, but
Well, it's cool to hear that's gonna come that
Yeah.
soon.
yeah, it's coming. Yeah.
Any more questions for Carl?
Just a quick question. Like, I know like the tunnel top was part of the parks bond, right? Do we ever do like those updates on any of the other park projects, where they are, how they're going? You know,
Yeah, so we plan to provide like updates, because I know we haven't provided one, I think, we didn't provide one the last one, but the prior one we did.
yeah,
And we'll continue to send those, but we're still in the phase of, we just did a groundbreaking for Riverside Park, thank you, Charlie. So that project is underway. And then we have several projects, like 2024 is gonna be a fairly busy year for us, especially in the construction part, because we're getting a lot of the projects off the ground, bar permitting and things.
awesome.
We had a discussion and presentation from one of the commissioners on Lockhart. Did that move forward through the commission? Is that?
It has, we are currently at 30% design and, then I want to say the next month or two, we should move into 60%, and that'll be.
They'll present back to here as well. or-
To, commission.
Okay.
The pickleball courts and all that, I remember there was a lot of discussion about the pickleball courts.
At Lockhart, that's still a go.
Not that I play, I just know a lot of people do.
I actually played the game a couple of weeks ago. Somebody invited me. I had never played before, so they invited me to learn at Pompano. And it's a very competitive sport.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, my.
If they don't want you, they want you to sit on the sidelines if you can't play.
Well, no, they were they were actually very welcoming and very patient with me. And you know, I'm used to a tennis racket and you got this little paddle here. And so it's quite a workout, I'll say that much. I enjoyed myself. My back didn't like it though.
And, you know, we've got, I want to say 8 courts at, George English that have really picked up quite a
They're
bit.
always,
busy.
I walked by them tonight at 5 o'clock, full of people my age.
Even
Like,
on
wow.
Saturdays at
Yeah.
like 4 p.m.
Yeah.
because now I'm taking it up. So
All these pickleball courts want lights.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, we have some light at George English.
Well, I mean, they were all full when it was dark.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They just drove by it.
And part of the some of our development here, of course, there's still some pickleball courts that we have on Holiday. And then there's more courts going on with that My Park initiative that we talked about some time ago. Pickleball is very much strong and in charge.
I've been hearing about it for years.
There hasn't been a meeting that we haven't gone through that pickleball hasn't
not at
come
all.
up.
Not once.
It's very
About
popular.
6 years.
Very, very popular.
It's always been
Well, you know,
pickleball.
you're 6 years?
Yeah.
You're gonna turn out soon then.
I got another year,
Oh, okay.
February of 2025.
I guess on the topic of pickleball, have you ever thought about, because there's also like paddle and like all different kinds now. I guess, are you considering the different ones now, or are you just only solely focused on pickleball?
Yeah, just actual providing the amenity for people to play pickleball.
Okay.
Yeah, years ago, it was paddleball. When I was
Right.
17, 18 years old, you had the 3-wall paddleball.
Yeah.
And that's what we played. You use it to practice your
And it was
tennis.
in Holiday Park.
Yeah, had them in, Hardy
A lot
Park
of
too.
places.
Oh, that's right.
We actually will be having, I mean, we just kind of talked about it within the last week, but there is a plan for some pickleball tournaments coming up next year. So we've had some in the past, but I know that we'll have a couple more next year.
And Hard Rock Live is gonna have pickleball tournament.
Geez, that's huge.
That's huge. Oh, yeah.
That's not a cheap place to do anything. I
The,
know, I used to work there.
Pickleball's on TV. But
Oh, yeah.
on
ESPN, yeah.
A lot of pro athletes are buying, and they're trying to start a league, a national league. so, yeah. It's gonna be
The
a big
orthopedic
deal.
surgeons are really loving it.
Yeah.
People 50 years old plus out there playing
And
pickleball
backs.
and doing,
That you're right.
And backs.
back, knees and backs and shoulders and elbows.
Knees and toes.
For the fitness stations that are being implemented in the parks, what are they? Because it used to be like pull-up bars and all that. What, I guess maybe, I know Bayview is the one, but
Yeah,
like, what do
so
you?
we have many throughout our park system. Like at Holiday, we have like a fitness station.
Yeah.
At Hardy Park, we have them kind of placed all around, and you've got functionality for legs, chest, abs, and kind of build it
All along the
off.
trail, right? You walk the trail, you stop, you work out, you move on to the next station.
Are they utilized quite a bit?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, I've seen people.
Because that's,
On Holiday Park they are.
On the
that's-
beach too.
we in the, you know, the rooftop park in our neighborhood is what, hopefully gonna be coming someday. That was a big piece of it. And people are like, I don't think people use that. I'm like, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
they do. We're gonna have that walking trail with that on the end. And I was like, and we don't have walking sidewalks in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're at your own risk, right?
Yeah.
The one in the city of Oakland Park, it's used it's always packed. They have the trail and they have the stations that you go along and what have.
You build it, they'll come.
Yeah.
I have a question about a different thing, the ice rinks at Holiday Park. I know they're not gonna be finished until January, something like that. Is it possible, over holiday time to get a tour of what they've done and who would I contact for that? The only reason I'm asking is my grandson's coming from Chicago. He's a big ice hockey player and his dad is, a civil engineer that builds things like that, and they'd like to see it. If you just, you just let me know if it's
Yes.
possible.
I'll send you a note.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I actually wouldn't mind all of us having a tour of it.
So you probably have to go individually just for the sunshine rules, but I'll send out information on who to directly kind of reach out to and kind of do that.
I would really appreciate that, because they'd really like to see it, because he'd like to, when he comes here, play it.
Are they on schedule for that project? Does that look like it's gonna be on time?
I recently had a conversation with the Panthers, and the ice part is going to be done by January, but the auditorium part
Mhm.
still has a few months away, so probably.
Yeah, I go there all the time and see it from the outside, but you know, all the stuff that's going on the inside with the ice and the mechanics that make that happen are what really matters. So I see they're pretty far along from just like, you know, going around the outside and War Memorial and everything, but
So that portion is nearing completion soon, so
Yeah.
I'd say, I need to go back to view that, response, but I think it's March next year.
is there a chance of,
I think
is
that-
there a chance Panthers might start practicing there before it's open to the public, or do you think it'll be the other way around?
Not sure. Not sure. I'm pretty sure that once it does open, that'll be a good marketing thing to
Mhm.
open it. So I'd imagine that'd be something that they probably would certainly want to do.
Yeah, some kind of a soft opening or something like that.
In lieu of the sunshine law, could we have a meeting there? Is that permissible?
So we've tried in the past to move the meetings, and depending on the opinion of the city attorney, but the last response we have that we have to always have them at a safe floor on.
It also allows the public to, if, know when the meeting is, if they got anything they want to bring up, they can just show up.
Well, Holiday Park's not too uncentral, it's kind of east, but
You got to give like what, 2-3 months notice and all that other stuff.
Yeah, there's some parameters that has to be done. I just know that we, you know, in the past, for those of you who've been on the board, like, so we moved around.
Oh, yeah.
You know, recently, I want to say at the last maybe year or two, we were told that we cannot move things like that.
They have to put everything on YouTube now.
Okay. More questions from Carl, under the department report.
I do have, I, as far as the agenda goes, I try and stick to the agenda. I think before we had talked about maybe putting an open floor item before we adjourn for, you know, items that maybe the board wants to discuss, or if we do have a visitor that wants to speak. While we're on the kind of open topic, Carl, you probably saw that email about Sunrise Middle and the lighting and the pool situation with the old hammerheads. I don't know if it's relevant to the, you know, the entire city or what other pools are available that don't have lighting. But we have some residents that are saying that, you know, the pool was kind of paid for by the city. There was always that adult lap program that was available to them. I think the old hammerheads were use their own lighting so that they could have lap swimming after hours. I'm sure, you know, that's not the case at Hall of Fame and some of the other bigger pools, but apparently at Sunrise, they were able to do it before. Now, the questions kind of come to our table in Poinsett Heights about, I guess there was a change of management. There's an issue with a program that's been going on for probably over 20 years. I mean, that lab program, I didn't even know that it was open early in the morning before school started, but apparently that was the case. I mean, was the city aware of that, or was that something that was kind of going on the sidelines? That was, you know, through the management company that you guys didn't know about, or we're just trying to wrap our heads around it because.
So there's two things. So British Swim School is the new vendor that is providing the service at Sunrise Middle School. And the previous vendor, Hammerheads, had a longstanding relationship with the school, and they were able to provide for school and of course after school, because we can only do those times anyway. It's not school hours.
Yeah.
And I know there was some concern about that program, but British Swim School is going to provide that. They literally just got the keys this past week.
Yeah.
To open, so they're basically trying to acclimate themselves with the facility,
Mhm.
and that's something that they're going to include and incorporate. We are coordinating a meeting with British Swim School and the principal so that we can try to gain some of those hours that Hammerheads had in the past. But just in the agreement, we're only allowed to do it for certain hours unless we get approval from a school board, which is what we're hoping to gain once we have that meeting.
So is it a school board approval thing or is it a lighting thing? Because
So
my understanding that Hammerheads was bringing their own lights and plugging them in somewhere. And
So they did that. but that was a violation of code and they. Sure. And so, unless there is sufficient lighting, which we'll have to have engineered,
Yeah,
we can't do nighttime swimming. And so it really impacts during this time of year because it gets dark so early.
yep.
But we do have some, which is pretty much what I was advised of that today, that we have some funds via the bond as part of that to provide some lighting there. And so that's something that will be included, but that's some time away.
Sure.
And even if we provide some temporary lighting, engineering has to get involved with the drawing. So it may not even be worth that trouble to do that, but I still have to vet kind of what that cost is, the timeline, because if we're able to put in temporary lighting, let's say it takes 8 months, then we may as well just.
Yeah. Well, I know you're just taking the helm, but that was something that was on the table when we met with Joe Webb and Sunrise Middle School and trying to squeeze every dime out of funding, which kind of is a good segue for maybe another agenda item that we've all been discussing with the joint use parks. You know, as our civic association is wrestling with the costs around some of the management and some of the other you know, expenses that are not exactly the capital expenses, if you will. They're like you know, for surveying and for management and other fees. We're pretty well versed in it for Sunrise Middle School, but I'm thinking this board probably should maybe get up to speed on some of that for the rest of the joint use parks, because from what we're seeing on our end, it seems like a lot of the joint use parks, all that funding that we fought for to get across and all the extra schools that we added are not going to get nearly as much as we were hoping for. So maybe it would just be a good idea for a future agenda. I know we don't have a new Stephanie, I don't think yet, but I figure maybe now's a good time to make sure that we, you know, get the the agenda sorted out so we have an open floor for these items that are not on the agenda. And just a suggestion for a future agenda item, just to get some of the costs that go around joint use parks and how that's going to affect bond money that was allocated for it.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea, like getting updates on the joint, because it's interesting. You're in Poinsett Heights. Okay, a friend of mine lives there and knew I was on the board and said, hey, can you ask about our joint use park? What's going on with it?
Oh, it's happening.
So that would be a great idea, just to have like updates here so that we can say, hey, this is where we are, so that people ask, you know.
Yeah.
And also maybe to help keep things moving.
Yeah, I'm straddling two sides of the fence,
Yeah.
trying to be objective for Poinsett Heights and
Yeah.
then being objective when I'm on this, but
Yeah.
obviously, it seems just with dealing with the city and ACOM and everybody on that matter, specifically for Poinsett Heights, I'm learning more and more about how far behind the 8 ball we are with you know, the funding, and then just the value of the dollar and the, you know, with inflation, that it's just not going to get us as far as we thought for all the initial projects that we had lined up. And I think it's something that this board should take into consideration. And if we're going to advise on anything, it might be to start moving on these projects. And, you know, the more we are informed about it, I think the better we can hopefully get the city commission to, you know, break ground as soon as
Yeah, I certainly
possible.
can put that on another
Yeah.
agenda and we can kind of talk.
I mean,
about
all the other parks are kind of, I think, out of, well, you know, they're all in the purview of this board. I'd imagine it's all parks bond money. And some of the other parks are already, you know, now are opening parks and others are still under construction. But I don't think there's one school that has broken ground since, you know, that was all sorted out over a year ago, so.
What's interesting, because that was the question I was asking about the updates too, because
Yeah.
my friend of mine's like, hey, do you know about this? And I was like,
Yeah.
I'll find out, but I think that would help you guys too, to be able to leverage the board to say, hey, the board's giving pressure, we need to, you know, like it would help you guys to be able to get things through as well, or get something.
Yeah,
done.
we actually, I had a conversation with AECOM earlier this week in regards to just that, just about kind of moving more of these projects on. And you're absolutely right. The value of the dollar from a construction standpoint is significant. We're facing several shortfalls and some of our projects that we're trying to develop and trying to find other money to leverage funds so that we can at least still deliver on what we said we were gonna deliver prior to COVID and cost escalations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do to help kindle that fire that's gonna get people moving.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have to shift money from purchasing property to fund these projects because the original items we promised are going to be 30, 40, 50% more than the original value that we set forth, 18 months ago?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And that is going to be a commission decision.
Right.
And so we have mentioned that to our commissioners about if they want to give up some of their land acquisition funding to subsidize this, that's in their purview to do. We'll of course bring it to their attention probably at a conference meeting for consideration and direction.
Maybe the new developers in town that are busy building new buildings could put aside a certain amount of dollars to the Parks Board for the greenery of Fort Lauderdale and make it part of a planning.
I think it is part of the code that when they expand a
But not
certain.
only in their little
Yeah,
one,
Right.
but the
maybe
greater
towards-
good of Fort
Yeah.
Lauderdale.
Yeah, so you're talking about park impact fees. So
Right. Yeah.
anytime there's development, there is funding that goes towards expanding the use of parks, green spaces, recreational outlets, things of that nature. And yes, that is also funding that we have earmarked and
It's already there.
for consideration to enhance shortfalls and funding that we have.
You're talking just about impact fees in general, right?
Park impact fees, but
Yeah.
it's a specific line item in their permit structure.
I just want to chime in on what Charlie was mentioning. Obviously, it was a maneuver that a commission had done before, so it's not unprecedented for them to take those funds
Sure.
and move it into this. And frankly, I don't know where Colliers is at or if they have, an update, but it just doesn't seem like you can get any property for the amounts that were allocated for
Right.
it. So if we can reallocate those funds and this board sees fit to advise city commission to maybe
At least
consider
deliver
that.
and deliver on some of these
Yeah,
projects.
at least get these projects going. And I mean, unless they, there was plenty of properties that were proposed, great thoughts, but I mean, talking about like $7 million for some of these properties, the ideal ones. These little pocket parks, a lot of people are against them, they don't want these pocket parks, so they think homeless people are gonna be showing up. And I don't know where where Parks and Rec is on that or where the city commission is, but it might be something that we can bring to the table and have a discussion and then move on.
Yeah, so that's actually a discussion that our commissioners have already kind of offered, especially for some of the projects that like signature parks like Carter Park.
Mhm.
And I had another commissioner kind of proffer a possibility of using some of their funds to enhance the project or to provide a project. And so that all of that funding, because I want to say the total land acquisition was about $30 million, somewhere around that range. And so that money is divvied up in those 4 districts. So
Yeah.
some of that money has been used to acquire some properties. I think we've acquired a handful thus far. So,
Does
whatever
Colliers
funding
have
that we
anything
have.
else on their sites right now or? is that
So
just-
prior to every board meeting, I typically reach out to see if they have any properties that have come into play that are interested in,
Mhm.
you're right. I mean, the amount of money that a lot of these projects or properties are requesting. is
It's
significant.
ridiculous.
Yeah, not only just to get the property, but then to actually put a park in there.
Do something.
I
with it.
mean, and some of them are,
If even getting the property, it's.
yeah, I mean, you're talking about a
Well, that
100
really-
by 100
that's too
foot parcel of
wider.
land,
Right,
probably
yeah.
just the regular. And then, like I said, so many people that, I think, from what I understand is that a few properties have been put forward to like the associations and things like that. And people have been up in arms with pitchforks against it, to get these like, I don't know, maybe it would be a good idea to see if we can find where parks are most needed and then have some of the funding allocated to that, if those park deserts type things. But I mean, it'd be a shame to just, lose out on some of these other options that are actually in progress because funding isn't there when that money's sitting there and not doing it.
Right, not deliver what we promised.
Yeah.
Thing else on.
I think
Part
that's.
of it.
One be, open discussion.
The director, you do have an answer for everything, that's pretty good.
One of the three hats you're wearing?
Percent item.
Oh, that's so we're going, I don't know.
So you all are familiar with this particular line or a line item similar to this, and we are in the process of trying to get funds to offset what we were just discussing, cost for particular or potential projects. And this particular project is a $3 million project to offset some of the costs that it costs for Bass Park. And so that being said,
Since Hardy Park.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
Hardy,
not
I'm sorry,
Hardy.
Hardy, I meant Hardy. And so this would provide funding to do some of the field, like conversion to synthetic turf. Of course, some lighting and tennis courts, lighting in that area. And it is a 1-to-1 match, so it's a $1.5 million grant, which in turn will be using $1.5 million to fund it. So as part of that grant, it's required that we have it on an agenda and that you are made aware. Thankfully, we have quorum, and so we'll use the minutes from this meeting, include that into the grant submission, and hopefully we'll get it.
So you're asking for.
No, I don't need
No,
you all
that's
to
just-
just
Just the fact that we discussed it and then.
I do have a question. So you mentioned moving from grass to turf. Is that kind of the trend with a lot of the parks? Because the thing that I'm trying to work against is not doing that. Like, is there alternatives? Because, you know, global warming, all these things, the plastic that we're having problems in the seas, like the turf just contributes to that. And I know how hard it is to maintain grass. 'Cause I do, especially down here, but do they have alternatives or other ideas? Because it's killing me to walk around and see all the
And
turf.
people are really complaining about tunnel top, it's all, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Plastic.
gonna bring that up and I just want
Yeah.
to pause. Your question is, have they looked at alternatives?
Have they looked at
I
alternatives
just
to
wanna
turf?
put
Is,
distance on
yeah.
what
Yes,
specifically.
Yeah.
so any field that we convert, like the most recent fields that we converted were at Mills Pond Park, and those fields have what's called cool play, which is slightly different than what we have installed at Carter Park, which is supposed to keep the turf cooler. And there's other alternatives, like they got organic infill and things of that nature. But to answer your question, so typically for fields that have high use, high demand, Hardee's happens to be one of them. It's heavily used in soccer and pickup play. The fields get beat up pretty bad. And we typically have to shut down the fields for a period of time for them to, of course, heal, for us to repair them, and prior to allowing them to open back up. And so it's really just an access, an amount of time and hours that we can have a field open and available.
For matter of discussion, I would advocate for keeping it as grass, even with the downtime. I think you can explain that there are a lot of injuries that can happen in addition to the climate concerns with the artificial turf or other materials.
Yeah, so there's kind of a mixed kind of feeling on that. And, you know, we have our MOU group, that was a memorandum of understanding group that we have with our soccer clubs. We've got a very, very well-attended travel soccer that utilizes a variety of our fields, and all the fields, most of the fields that they use are synthetic turf now. The ones that we have at Holiday, Mills especially. And so for them, it allows them to use the fields and not have to kind of move around to other sites as much. I haven't really heard from them about the injury thing associated with it, but I've seen reports that have that. And then there's also on the flip side, there's, you know, the positives of just being able to have access to, which is really what those groups are looking for, so access and availability.
And then there's the, not using the fertilizer and the pesticides and the and the fungicide and all the chemicals you have to use to survive.
I think they have the same problem with the sun, the water, and this turf and this, and the thing. So like, I don't, it's just my personal,
Sure.
thing is
No,
like
that's
be more
understood.
green, but, and that's, I think, even more important than with the Lockhart Park having so much green space to really, if it's not fields, really doing as much greener as we can, because it's like, we really should be in this net zero, like the net negative. Like, how do we get to a place where we start looking at net negative opportunities? Because, we have the benefit, we also will reap the benefit of the global warming slowing down a little bit. So anything we can do, I'm a huge advocate. So that's just my little soapbox. I have to, yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
That's it.
awesome.
All discussion.
Good, thank you.
One more question about that grant. So the bond has to match that grant, or? is it-
Yes, so let's say if a project that we have allocated, say, $5 million to a project.
Yeah.
We can use a portion of that $5 million to match a grant, and then that gives us additional funding to use to complete the project, or if there's money
Yeah.
left over at the end of the Brown project, we can have that discussion. It's just basically us being able to try to leverage as much external funds as possible, because like I mentioned earlier, that you all know the cost escalation is
Yeah.
out of hand.
Well, my only question is, I hate to put you on the spot, but Phil was saying that, all that, the bond money is already accounted for. So
Yeah, so.
where is that gonna come from?
So when we had the bond referendum, part of what allowed it to pass was to outline what all those expenses of the 200 million was. And so, which is why anytime that we wanted to use some funding for the aquatic center,
Mhm.
or wanted to use some additional funding for Holiday Park, it had to come to.
Yeah.
Because you all have the purview to say, yes, we want to provide extra funding from here, but understanding that if I take extra funding here, that's going to leave someone out. And so that's the impetus of that discussion. But, when we just went to a referendum, the idea was that it was all allocated and accounted for. So if we're able to, and here's the thing too, is that, so we had the bond referendum in 2019.
Mhm.
And of course, this is before COVID and everything else that kind of hit, that kind of started now have everything drive up prices. And so our 200 million in 2019 is 100 million.
Yeah.
300, it's probably $300 million. We would need to do the same things we were trying
Yeah,
to do in
exactly.
2019.
I would say about 35%,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Where Alex was asking, you said it's a 1-1 match. We already have up to 1.5 allocated out towards Hardy Park.
Yeah.
Bond.
Yeah.
So it's already there.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah,
taking
you're not taking any
additional
money,
Gotcha.
but it's basically
Thank
to
you for
enhance.
clarification.
I think that's.
That's what I was trying to find out. Was it already
Yeah.
implemented?
It's probably more than the 1.5.
It is.
Yeah.
So now
That's
they're.
great news. So the grant was just extra now.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a-
So if we get it, that's
It's a big
extra
tip.
funding to
Yeah.
go towards this project and or other projects.
It's a
that we
good,
have.
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
thing.
The grantees love matching dollars, don't
It
they?
just never fails that as, the can gets kicked down the road that, if we're stealing from Paul to pay Peter, then, that's gonna come around and we're gonna have to deal
At
with
some
that.
point,
It's
construction.
Yeah.
Can you get more grants like that? Or,
So that we have, as part of our AECom's responsibility is to work towards finding additional grant funds. And we also have a Spectra Projects and Grants Administrator in our department that also is soliciting for grants and things of that nature for this. So we're doing as much as we can. As a matter of fact, earlier today, we had a meeting to talk about what other state funding or federal dollars that we can use towards projects as well. Because, like I mentioned, the 200 million in
It's like
2019.
if the money's out there and we can get it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, we
that's
do.
free money
If-
alone. It's a
Is
grant.
there a vision plan for this already on that?
For Harding,
Yeah.
yes.
My recollection, when we were going out for the bond manager, that was actually one of the major points of that bond,
It was.
or that evaluation of the manager was that they were able to go after grants, matching funds like this. So
They can find
glad
what,
to see that.
Yeah, that's their business.
And if you recall, I think we've had 3 other meetings where we've had similar to this, but we were at different parts, so.
Mhm.
Yes, we are certainly trying to leverage as much funding as we can to stretch the dollar.
it's great.
Yeah, if you look at the commission meeting minutes, from time to time, you'll see grants for other things, not for Parks and Rec, but for this funding, for waterway cleanup, for this or that. So
Yeah.
somebody's out there looking for money
Yeah,
for grants from different.
it's great.
Well, we'll move past item 2. There is item 3, but I do want to open the floor.
I mean, I hope we don't have to call a vote to do that. But I would recommend that we have an open floor because it's, when we're trying to stay on topic and stay on the agenda. And then everybody goes off on a tangent. I know how tough that is, like trying to, do my own meetings in Homestead Heights. So I hate to not do that here,
I wonder.
be that guy.
I wonder if we can look into the rules and see if it's okay if we do the updates as we have done, because the chair and the new director have been very generous in letting us talk about iguanas and pickleballs ad nauseum
Yeah,
without
Yes.
having an open forum. So I don't know that it's necessary, unless it's a protocol thing, if there was an issue where a member of the public came in. We
Yeah.
didn't have that opportunity.
So what I will do is.
We don't want to move to have something that we don't have to have because we've been very collegial and you guys have been open to discussions off of department updates.
Well, and I can, and I'm okay with adding, if you all are like new business.
Yeah.
A time limit would be good. I like 2 topics.
Yeah, but Don't topics could take an hour.
Yeah, that's true. Like time would be good.
Yeah. The time.
5 minutes per member, that's more considerate.
Yeah, we typically like, so if someone from the public comes in, the chair will typically tell them 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah,
Discuss.
yeah, that's true, that's true.
But normally, they normally call in, right? And they normally have that on the, I know we don't have a staff meeting now, but they normally have that on the
Yeah,
agenda
if they-
here, if someone.
Yes, if they reach out and they say they want to come to the board for whatever reason, we'll add that on the agenda, but sometimes, it's an open forum and they can come, speak if they like.
I thought we,
That was a long time ago.
it was several years ago. We went around the table before we adjourned the meeting.
Discussion.
Oh, yeah, that
Parts.
was.
Well, everybody, say, listen, Deborah, you got anything, Charlie and Michelle.
Maybe do the round robin thing
Yeah,
again. I do
that's
remember that.
that's what we used to do. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I would just add an hour to the meeting. I'll.
Yeah, you know?
yeah.
Any other new business discussion before I move to item number 3?
Well, we should let Alex make the.
No, I'm just trying to keep the quorum here. I think that anything that's not on the agenda, and for the record, the topic I brought up today with lighting, I didn't want to take us off track here, but one of our residents, he was asking about it, and I said, if you want to come to the meeting, you can, but, I know that our commissioner just found out about it, Carl just found out about it. I said, maybe we should just, get some information and then come to the meeting once we have more information or have a solution.
Right.
So
What was the complaint about?
it was, and I thought it would be relevant because I know we have a couple swimmers here. Our pool at Sunrise Middle School was being used on off hours, but they were, it's my understanding, illegally lighting it, if for lack of a better term.
There's no lights in the pool there.
Yeah, so there's currently no lights at the pool and it's in per the code, and don't hold me to this exactly, but there's a dawn to dusk rule. And so our pool is a dawn to dusk, meaning that we don't have lighting or approval to light or have pool activities because there's no light. And so the only way for us to now have light is to either get some temporary lighting, which will necessitate permits and engineering drawings. Or what I mentioned earlier, that we do have an allocation of some funding that we can install some permanent lighting for the pool.
That
And
means,
this is a joint kind of use because the pool is not ours, it's the school board's pool, but we are programming.
Because there's a very limited time to use that pool because right now it's dark until 7 o'clock in the morning. And school's starting shortly after that, so you really can't
Right.
get swim practice in.
And that's the problem, because for
Right.
20-something years, Hammerheads has been illuminating the pool so our residents can use it, or anyone in the city of Fort Lauderdale,
Now they're
and
not
pay your
allowed.
$3.
Well, now it's
Yeah, all
another
you gotta do is
company,
pay $3.
Oh,
and get
British
it.
Swim.
Well, how are they lighting it? I mean, that is kind of dangerous.
I don't know, to be honest with
To
you.
my knowledge,
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
we caught wind of it. We advised them that they are in violation of code and we stopped.
Good way to electrocute everybody in the. pool.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I think they just got the floodlighting and hung it up on the fence. I know a few of the swimmers. We have some of the swimmers on our board at Homestead Heights, and he's been the one that's like spearheading it. But, I mean, there's a few people that are really upset that they can't do their adult lap swim program at 5 a.m. I don't
can
know what,
Understand that.
you know, yeah.
I can
It's like,
understand that.
how many people are showing up to do that?
I'll
Like,
become the aquatics center.
But-
and figure it out.
Believe it or not, Alex, you'd be surprised.
Yeah,
People
well,
show up at 5:30.
Yeah, when I'm driving to the boat that early in the morning, I see people swimming in the ocean, riding their bikes. It's dark out, you know, I mean, I'm like, nothing surprises me anymore. So,
Because that's,
I figured
if
it's-
you're working, that's the only time you can do it.
yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, I
And
did
then-
6:45.
yeah, this time of year, you know, 5 o'clock, 5:30, it's getting dark and, so it's you know, it's a new issue as the contractor switch over. It's something that gets dumped on a Carl's shoulders over here and,
Well, and I think a lot of it will be worked out because like the vendors started this past weekend. And so they haven't even met the principal at the school yet. And so once they have that conversation, we're hoping that they'll allow them some of the allowances that they gave to the Hammerheads.
Mhm.
Hours, but that still doesn't resolve the lighting issue because if it's dark out. you can't
yeah.
have swimmers.
Well, I mean, it seems like to me that the whole purpose of hiring somebody else to manage this is to deal with those problems. But they're not getting dealt with, so it's
Well,
gonna,
the only way to
fall
deal with
back in
it
your
would
lap.
be for them to provide some temporary lighting, but again, which, you know, they may be willing to do that. I mean, the city would be willing to do that, but
yeah,
the problem is that the lighting is gonna take some drawings. Because it has to illuminate. pool,
Yeah.
Not just.
Yeah, of
floodlights.
course. And they, you know,
Right. Alex, it's also on the health department's permit that's just issued from the state.
Yeah.
They have a public pool like that.
Yeah.
You have to have a permit. Permit states whether it can be lit or not.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do that, you're gonna have to reapply through the state.
mhm,
They're gonna come out and assess all that engineering and verify it.
Yep.
And you're gonna have.
Sounds like it's a 12-month to 18-month process.
Right, which is why I say,
Right.
you know, with the money that we have allocated, you know, we can address that.
How they get in the pools if the pool is closed at dusk?
So I think there was a misunderstanding with that because when we found out that there was floodlights hanging, we advised him that he's in code violation and he pulled those out. So I don't know if they're referencing what has happened, but that wasn't something that was ongoing.
was the regulation for there to be an underwater light as well? Is that mandatory? Because that's actually, I think from my understanding, was part of the problem, that was part of the regulation, and then there are underwater lights you could just plug into a wall and throw in there. and
Oh,
people
well,
have-
thank you.
There aren't underwater lights at the aquatic center.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lighting under, like if you.
Yeah, because if somebody's drowning, they have to have a lifeguard. That's the other issue. We all know that. there's
We have-
Plus,
lifeguard.
we have to be able to see the
But-
people in
We
the
have-
water.
Yeah, you have to be able to see. So if it's dark
Windows.
outside and you have
Windows,
light
yeah.
outside, but you can't see inside the water, the lifeguard, it's not helping the lifeguard's cause.
So we'll table it for the next meeting.
Sounds good to me.
Good.
Yeah, I'll follow up with Carl independently on behalf of Homestead Heights, but
Okay, I have a non-swimming important question. Did Olaf ever get put together?
Yes,
Okay,
actually, as of yesterday.
because he wasn't yesterday morning, he was like, only the bottom was there.
Yeah, yesterday at about 3 o'clock.
Olaf is the big sandman on the beach?
Right.
oh, okay. That's
Snowman.
Man.
Nice.
Yeah, sand,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Me.
Sandman.
It's our version of a snowman.
Yeah.
That's it.
I just, when I went by, I go, there's only the bottom.
Oh,
It's up and lit.
all
You guys
right.
know the Olaf's voice from Disney's from here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Josh.
love that.
All right. Hey.
number three.
Another example. of
No, no,
how we have a
no,
very
this is very important. I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I-
I say.
Motion made.
Yes.
Okay, I change